let me share my. Let me share.
Now recording.
Great. Okay. Sigstore community meeting minutes. Okay, great. Fantastic. So agenda, as said, meetings will be recorded. We've also got a YouTube channel, okay, Sigstore. It doesn't have a name-specific URL. I think we get one of those when we get so many people subscribing and so forth. So did somebody just let somebody in? I just wanted to check others can do it as well. Brilliant. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah, so there is a YouTube channel. There's a community calendar. Okay, previously I think we were using my personal calendar, whereas this one allows us to automate things, I believe, to a degree. And we can also, anybody that's part of the mailing list can access that calendar. And then there's a bit of tie-in as well to our docs as well. So we can share the docs out to the Google group. Okay. So yeah, one thing is office hours. Dan, I'll let you. That's your baby. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. My calendar was rapidly filling up with meetings that made me sad. So I was trying to block out a couple hours to get some work done on Sigstore. And I decided, why not just invite anybody else that wants to come hack on stuff at the same time. So that's why there wasn't much planning or organization. It'll be pretty casual. There's this breakout rooms feature in Google Meet that we could try if it gets too big. If you click the little triangle, square, circle, you can see that. I've never actually clicked that button before, so I don't know what'll happen, but hopefully we can try that out later if people want to work on a couple of different things. We can answer questions, help people get some PRs sent in if they want, whatever people want. So that'll be open-ended and fun, hopefully.
It's a really good idea. So good I stole it. And I'm going to do one in the morning, early morning UK time for Asia, I figure. I don't know if we've got any users out that way or you know, anywhere that's sort of at the far ends of the time zone. I guess folks in Europe as well. So that'll be in the morning. Okay, let me come back to. So help needed. Add issue PR template to kickstart users. Issue template with mentorship opportunities. Mark, you had a proposal merge, didn't you? And you were going to kick off some stuff.
Yeah, it was merged into the community repository. Yeah, it was just a proposal for like how you could structure Kanban boards just to organize incoming tasks. Additionally, some automation that could make that a little bit easier. I proposed 3 different automation actions that the community could use. Some of them help with pull requests. Some of them help with just organizing issues. And yeah, it's really up to the community which ones you know, they want to support or that that the community wants to use. But yeah, those are available. I'm the maintainer of those tools, and I'd be happy to help set that up on Sigstore.
Awesome. And something else I think we mentioned last week, and I didn't manage to get down, was there's a site called goodfirstissues.com, or maybe it's a repository that renders a site.
Yeah, it's
we should get on there as well. Can anybody remember? Let me see if I can Google it quickly.
I think I mentioned it. Up4grabs.net.
Up for grabs. That's it. Yeah. So if somebody wants to go for it, I've used that before. They basically have a huge YAML file or a text file. I can't remember what it is. And you add your project, make a PR. They make sure your project sort of is active and has more than one person on. I guess I don't even know if that's a criteria, but they'll check you over if they think you're suitable for the program, which you're very likely to be. They'll merge, and then people can then their website will then aggregate in the Good First Issue label for people to search and find stuff to work on. Great. Okay, so that's help needed. Okay, project round robin. So for this one, it's really if anybody has anything that they wanted to raise with a an audience just to get more opinions and views on any particular thing that they have going on. So let's see, Fulcio. So this could be a case of I've got this pull request. Have you had a look at it? I've hit an issue. Can anybody help me with it? Any of those sorts of topics. Let me think what I've been up to Fulcio wise. So we discussed the sort of the refactor briefly, didn't we? Client side stuff. So I've started working on that. So originally we had client tooling and server tooling in the same repository, and we're going to look to just migrate some of the client stuff out and just start to refactor things there, because it's all worked out very well. We sort of prototyped with Fulcio, but now things are starting to settle. We can start to refactor and set code into the relevant projects.
Yes, this isn't directly Fulcio, but it's related, which is just the figuring out our kind of tough root key protection model for the Fulcio root cert and all the other root certs, because we have them for Fulcio root cert and all of our other root keys, because we have keys flying around for pretty much all of these projects. Marina and Santiago have been helping out with coming up with that plan. Right now, it's not great.
Yeah, that's a good point. So do you want to enlarge on the rough proposals? So the UB keys and the signees and...
Yeah, Santiago or Marina, do you want to say more than I can? I just kind of made stuff up.
I think Marina is the person with the smarts here to do it.
Yeah, I just looked briefly over what you put. I think I had a couple ideas about using threshold signatures, some compromise resilience, so that we have like multiple different people signing these root keys for each of the projects, so that if any one key gets lost or compromised, we still have like the whole project doesn't have to redo that trust. Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of getting the details of that plan in place, figuring out when to do the ceremony, that kind of thing.
I watched the
brings me
Pi
to-
ceremony. They're pretty intricate and fun. So.
And the key holders are going to be Dan, Bob, myself, Santiago, and Marina. So we've got a sort of multi-vendor and a academic mix, nice mix of folks there. Great. Okay, so Fulcio, any other parts? No. Okay,
so
Rico. Oh,
think
yes,
this may
sorry.
be related-
Oh, you're in Toto patch. Did you want to talk about that, Santiago?
Yeah, well, I was talking with Dan about splitting out the wrapper so we could support tough types and in toto types, and then figure out the internals later. But I think that may be relevant for this like tough support within Fulcio. I don't know how these two things would tie in together, but I wonder if that's something we would like to pick up. And if, I don't know, maybe Marina, you're interested in splitting that logic out of my branch. And
Yeah, I'd have to look at that. I don't know if it makes more sense to do it all as one piece with all the different types, or for me to separate out the tough metadata pieces, but I can do either of those things.
yeah, so my impression is that maybe we can split out the meta block type, as it sounds like, because that's the thing that we share, and then we figure out the internal tough bits and the internal in total pieces, so like separate tasks, just so that we can start sketching things more easily, and we can submit signed metadata regardless of what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll
Anybody-
take a look at that and maybe separate it out.
Okay, great.
I think somebody else mentioned either in the Slack or one of the Hacker News threads or Twitter or something that they were thinking of this too, and I replied saying that Santiago was working on it. I can't remember where it was though. But somebody was talking about getting in Toto stuff in here soon. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's also something that a man may be interested in. she's working on the policy/supply chain intelligence part. So it's that'll be tied into the monitor work, but I think we would want to probably pay attention to that so we can build that story.
While you're on the topic, that's a good point. The monitor stuff. So how are things going there? Santiago? You have your team there and team monitor?
Yeah, so well, Amanda is working on the monitor with me. I'm I'm multitasking, but we are essentially setting up the early full audit code, which is essentially what we're trying to do as the first approach. Will be a Kubernetes cluster on the Purdue infrastructure that will be mirroring and doing a full audit over the record log. The goal is to also expose this for more elaborate supply chain intelligence work, so that we could do, for example, a more generalized jurisdiction analysis, something like Dan was doing with his examples, which is, can I just tell it to monitor my keys and see if my key was used, or send me an email when my key was used? And we want to make this a little bit more of a hosted service with pluggable elements, so that both people can write their own intelligence logic. It doesn't have to be only the things that we say, but rather something that you could stick in a container, use common interfaces, and then start answering your own supply chain questions. And the other one is to actually provide people with a hosted service in which they can just say hey, send me an email when you see this key.
Cool.
Will that be part of record? That project, or is that a new one?
It is a separate repo, but we're using a lot of the shared code just to help us do all of the heavy lifting. We actually started, this is with some undergraduate students at Purdue. We started pretty much copying the Recore CLI and cutting out whatever we thought maybe not necessary for the mirroring agent. It's still in very, very early stages, but you can take a look at it on this repo. Pasting it on the chat, but then I'm going to put it on the notes. Yeah, I think that's it on my side. We could use a lot of eyes, especially because we're learning as we're doing. Most of my students, it's the first time they touch cloud native technology, so they're learning Ansible, learning Kubernetes. I think they've been very excited about this whole office hours stuff, because I think that'll help a lot.
Awesome. Something else not to discuss in depth now, but and you're all aware of this, Thursday there's a big OpenSSL high issue that's going to come out of embargo. We're not really in production here, we have plenty of warnings and caveats, but we might have to patch code possibly. Who knows? Who really knows? I had a meeting with Mark Cox this morning. He just cancelled it, can't come. So I think he's on the OpenSSL GB and one of their, he handles the embargoes. So it seems to be quite crazy there, them preparing for Thursday.
Yeah.
Something fairly substantial should come out.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to have a cool name, like Heartbleed or Fall Backwards or Head Over Heels, or I don't know. But
yeah, I am aware of the embargo from their extended security work that I'm doing, and yeah, it seems to be pretty nasty.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people having the late night on Thursday. Yeah. Right. Let me back on track. So
Actually, I guess
cosine.
Right there.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Before we jump on, I'm trying to think of where we might be using OpenSSL. And I think the only spot I can think of is our Nginx termination ingress thing. So I'll be ready to dump that. But anywhere else I can't think of. The Go stuff all uses its own stack. We don't use OpenSSL there.
There's no wrappers. We don't have any wrappers, do we?
You can recompile Go to use OpenSSL if you want to, but you have to go out of your way to do it and everything. So we're not doing any of that.
I think the Ruby gem stuff wraps, but that's not even ready yet. That's that's not anything to. Yeah, I think we're good.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So cosine.
Yeah, lots of fun with Cosine. We got our first release out last week. The main purpose of that was just to have a tool we can use to start signing other stuff. I tried to be as careful as possible to sign this release and everything with like it itself and everything, knowing that we'd get complaints if we weren't signing our own tooling. I thought we did a pretty good job. We did get some complaints, which I knew we were going to get anyway. Like, why aren't you putting this in the transparency log and using your CAs and everything like that? But it's better than most stuff, and we'll improve as we go forward. We really just needed a tool to start signing other stuff with for the next set of releases. So it's in good shape now. I've been working on GitHub Action and containers and stuff like that we're publishing and signing, and just getting us some infrastructure that we can use to start signing the rest of our stuff. What else is going on in Cosine? Next release, we've got a good burn down list for Amit, who's on the call. I think actually has a bunch of UX issues and flag changes and stuff like that we want to try to get in. Do you want to say anything about that stuff, Amit? Amit has left the meeting. I scared him away. It's funny. Oh, he's back.
You really hit disconnect. Sorry.
As soon as I said your name, you dropped.
It's like I don't work at Google. So anyway, yeah, I'm right now looking at the command line UX, planning to add some examples into the help messages and polish some of the mutually exclusive flags and stuff like that. Priya actually has provided some PRs on those, so thanks for that.
We are running out of trigonometry puns too, so if that's up your alley, we could use help when we tweet about these things for cosine.
So if one thing you might have seen, Dan, I think I put it into the maintainers channel. I cleaned up all the OIDC code, and I've got that key code where you can just pass in the algorithm and stuff like that. So I plan to put that into the kitchen sink. Kitchen sink, that anybody doesn't know, that's Sigstore/Sigstore. So that's the sort of sign-in client that kind of is a bag of all tricks, so to say. And if you wanted to, I can make the pull request into Cosine. You can pull that in, and then you can remove all that boilerplate stuff. Then that's useful. Okay, I'll do that. Great. Let me see. I've got a couple of noisy dogs in the background, so you might hear snorts and clicky paws. It's not me. Right. Yeah, Ruby plugin. That's we've got somebody. He's not made the meeting today, but Eduardo is starting to work on the Ruby Gems plugin. Okay, and he's somebody that's worked in the Ruby and Rails community for quite some time, and is doing stuff around security DevOps. So he's going to take that on, which is good. Because I started to look at it, and I got somewhere, but Ruby, I don't really know what I'm doing there, to be honest. It's and it's very, like, a lot of the libraries, you find libraries and they've not had the last commit was merged 9 years ago and stuff like that. So it's a funny one. Might as well, I don't know if I put it on there, but Bob, oh yeah, we have Maven Plugin. Do you want to say a bit on that? I know you got something working, didn't you?
Yeah, in the same vein as the Ruby gem work, wanted to have a hook to where if you had a POM file for building something with Java, that we could actually just have a task in that POM to essentially follow the same signing workflow that we have in Fulcio and Cosine. So I've got that mocked up. Seems to work as best I can tell. Jar Signer claims that everything is happy. So I'll be publishing that to a repo in the community. It certainly is needs a little bit of work. My Java is pretty rusty, but it seems functional.
Speaking of which, we have an Untitled plugin, and I wonder if we can also play with those two things, see if we could add because in total, the Total plugin actually has a pluggable transport system. So we could just inject like whatever's happening on this build and then submit it to Recore. I think this is relevant because it would be actually funny if the Total plugin, which is a Java project, could be one of the early guinea pigs for your POM. Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'll ping you, Santiago, when I push that up, and at least we can maybe spit off a thread and start looking at that.
And that's actually a good point. I've been thinking about how we're going to start to approach PyPy. So be interesting to get your thoughts there, Santiago. And I've also started to do some due diligence on crates as well. Look at how we can work there. Yeah, I don't know a great deal yet. I'm just reading their sort of backlog of we need to sign things threads. So, but any thoughts on PyPy? I had some people in Red Hat that were interested in. Said, have you spoken to the Python folks?
Actually a great person to talk about it. She's working on the tough integration for PyPI, and I think that whole thing could tie in very well.
Yeah.
And that they could publish their root keys into Sigstore and maybe even the root metadata into Recore. And
yeah. So,
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'll let Marina. You're the one that knows better.
Yeah. So we have. They're currently in the process of implementing what's called PEP 458. So the PEPs are like the augmentations to basically anything in Python, but in this case to warehouse, kind of the distribution piece. So that one's in process. We also have a PEP 480, which does like a more advanced tough model that actually allows for end-to-end signing and not just signing by PyPI of images. And I think that might be a really great place to either include this integration there or add it as an extension to that. But I think that there's definitely a good tie-in. I know Joshua recently posted on there about allowing for using Fulcio keys in PEP 480. And so maybe we can do more extension there. I can
PEP 480 is the number?
Yeah, I'll add a link to this.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is actually interesting because on the discussions for PEP 458, there was a lot of talk about using transparency logs. So I think that they will probably be very receptive to the idea of using Sigstore, well, Recore and Fulcio with existing tough infrastructure. The other thing that I'll add, just to help clarify, 458 is all of the repository metadata is signed by the PyPI people. So it doesn't allow for individual people that are pushing their own packages to sign their own packages. So that, again, if we're starting to add this like interesting ephemeral key tidbits and other like cool ideas that are floating around, that will also simplify the user story, and I think will be very, very attractive for the 480 push.
They have a really long blog post I should try to link to. It says why PyPI doesn't allow signing or something like that, and it outlines all the problems with signing, and that was one of the blog posts that helped motivate all this stuff in Recore and Sigstore. It was, what if we fix all of these problems? So if we come back and say we fixed your blog post, now will you start allowing signing? I think it'd be a pretty funny story.
Yeah, I like it.
Is that 480? Is that like is it a patch or a pull request that's in review somewhere, or is it a doc, or what's the forum for?
So the link that Marina posted, it is basically like a community process. It's like an RFC.
I see.
They need to have a sponsor inside of the Python community, which I think now I forgot who it is, but anyway, the seed is already planted in a sense that there's the interest, but there's more of a work that needs to be done to build consensus around the community, to allocate the resources, to identify how we can actually get there in a way that the whole community is happy with.
And one thing
I think Marina
is that there's currently some fund, like the Python Software Foundation actually currently has some funding for secure distribution through a grant that they have. So this is kind of good timing if we can get more of this into that same grant, then it might actually get done faster. So
Kim's
Yeah.
laughing because we wrote that check, so this is not a
yeah.
coincidence.
So do we need to take any action here to propose Sigstore, or?
So what I think, and this is my personal opinion, what I think would be ideal is we could try to nail down the story as we have it with Tough, Sigstore, because I think the delta would be also very minimal. Thinking of we think of the system, you already have the Tough bits living in your repos. We just put them on like a Sigstore aware style, and then we help you write some tooling so you can actually start signing things in a user-friendly way. So I think that yeah, going back to the action point on Fusio and Cosine, I think it was, we could start having a story that we can also share with them and say hey, by the way, you could be patient zero of this super cool end-to-end signing story.
So should we
zero? That's a scary word.
Should we piece this together in a Google Doc, or is there a preferred way to work here? And could anybody be a point person?
I think Marina is she's on top of all of what's happening in that department. I'm sorry, I keep on bringing you up, but I really think you're the person.
I'd happy to be a point person there. I think that it would be nice to maybe map it out a little bit more and see if it makes more sense to include this into the PEP 480, which is mostly in place and kind of in the process of being approved. Or if it becomes a bigger delta, then maybe it makes sense to open a new one and go through the Python approval process separately. So
you're good to head that up, Marina, and we support you, of course. If you want to, whatever medium you prefer. I mean, we tend to use Google Docs, but it really doesn't matter at all. Whatever you like.
Yeah, we can start in Google Docs, and then as it gets mapped out, we can convert that to a PR onto the PEP. So yeah,
sounds good. Great. Okay, so we are on the hour. So is there any other burning points that I've missed, or?
I just wanted to get in on the notes that we had some early talks with the Crates people when they were designing their first prototype. So I'll dig up those notes, and maybe they're interested in joining. I think you have probably already spoke with them. Tony Arshiri is one of them. But I can take that as an action point and maybe invite them to a community meeting.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Of course, yeah. So if one of them comes on, we can sort of any sort of project comes on, we can make the agenda useful to them. And fantastic. Okay. Last of all, I don't know who's taking minutes, but you're a rock star. It's really good. Just everything's being captured there. Well done.
That is me. Thank
awesome. Great stuff. Okay, everybody. Good to see you. And don't forget the Open Office event that Dan's put together. Open Office hours. Not Open Office. Open Office is that's the software, isn't it? Office hours. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good week.
Bye.